Hi, I'm Kevin,
And I'm Amanda.
and we are serving up
All that jam.
All That Jam, Quick Hit. Scott Sharrad on his Rust Belt LP.
Is that around the time you were working on Rust Belt? I'm trying to place that timing wise into everything else. That's a lot of stuff going on.
Great question. Rust Belt is my sixth solo album, so I've put out a lot. Each record pretty much has a completely different band and concept behind it, and I've been doing the solo albums since about 2003 or four. I think Dawnbreaker came out. So, you know, Rust Belt, it started as, when Gregg Allman passed away, 2017, 2018, I released an album called Saving Grace. Going into 2019, actually, it was those 3 years. And I was on the road with a trio most of the time. Sometimes we'd be a quartet. Eric Kalb on drums, Brett Bass on bass, and local New York guys and good friends of mine. And over the course of playing hundreds of gigs all over the country and sometimes the world, as my solo project, we had this sound we developed. And in early 2019, we started going in the studio, and I recorded an entire version of a 15-song album that was going to be Rust Belt. And then I scrapped about three-quarters of it and started it over again in, I would say, January of 2019. And one of the last things I did before New York City lockdown, which was pretty intense, was re-recorded one song with Charlie Drayton on drums at a studio in Harlem. And my luck was going into the lockdown, I had actually completed all the basics. So I had bass, drums, rhythm guitar, some lead vocals, and all the guide vocals tracked. So going into the pandemic, I had a whole bed to lay on of what are we going to do with keyboards? What are we going to do with lead vocals, guitars, backing vocals that didn't really require anyone getting together. And once the fall of 2020 came along and we started coming back to my home in Harlem, I started to set up my studio where I'm sitting now. And I got a bunch of equipment and really set up a tracking studio for vocals and guitars in my apartment. My keyboard player and sax player, Craig Dreyer, he has a full-blown recording studio called Mighty Toad in Brooklyn. So that's where he did his stuff. I sent tracks to Pete Levin in Nashville from the Gregg Allman Band, who's an old friend of mine. I sent tracks to Bill Payne out in Montana. He did keyboards. I sent tracks to Catherine Russell to do backing vocals. And then when the vaccines got in our arms around January of 2021, I got more sessions together. And there was actually another session I forgot about in February of 2020 with Dan Littleton, Amy Helm, and they put their stuff on. And that was, again, like right before the whole lockdown thing started. And then that continued in fall of 2021 with them. So everybody's home studios kind of played a role in completing Rust Belt. And then there was Justin Shipper in Nashville, did steel guitar, pedal steel guitar. So, wow, it was like a major, collaboration over Zoom and digital file sharing and home studios. And I think with Rust Belt, probably the thing that really got it over the line was I honestly, I think it could have sounded better if I could have had all those people, these amazing genius talents, Catherine Russell, Amy Helm, Dan Littleton, Bill Payne, Justin Shipper, Pete Levin, Charlie Drayton, Eric Kalb, Brett Bass. I mean, when I think about who played on the record, my jaw drops. Like, I have some friends who are insanely talented. If we had all been in a studio for a week, I think it would have been better. But I think what saves the day on that record is I do think it's the strongest collection of original songs in my entire catalog. I worked so tirelessly on composing those songs and rewriting them in a way I had never done previously. And I credit completely the experiences I had writing songs with Gregg Allman, meeting and having lunch one time with Tony Joe White, working with bands like all these different great artists, co-writing in Nashville, studying, when I spent some time at Berkeley doing clinics on songwriting and playing, getting to know and studying Pat Pattison and his theory, a guy who taught everyone from John Mayer to Gillian Welch. Spent the last 6 or 7 years of my life redialing my approach to singing, songwriting, how they fit together, what makes a song great. And I think that's what makes Rust Belt my favorite record, and yes, we got it done by hook or crook. I should mention too, the last song on the record is a cover of a Dr. John song that he wrote for Johnny Adams. And it's a song that one of my heroes and my mentor as a child, this great blues singer-songwriter Stokes, and I used to perform, and I did it as a tribute to him, but I actually recorded that by myself with my old Martin guitar that my dad bought in Ann Arbor, Michigan in the mid-'60s in a rental house that we were trapped in upstate New York. And if you listen to that track, it's just a live take of me playing that guitar in an empty room in the rental house with a stereo mic. So there's a lot of weird stuff on the record like that.
If you are enjoying All That Jam, please like and subscribe to our social media channels at All That Jam Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or visit our website, allthatjampod.com. Make sure to sign up for our email list and tune in every week for new episodes.
Also, look for full interviews on our YouTube channel. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long.